What is up guys, and welcome back to MPCVIDZ. In today's video I want to give you guys some tips for making your drums a bit looser. So one thing that I noticed when I came to this device, and also with other MPCs as well, is that your drums can sound very rigid if you're just putting them in using the Quantize. They get this very robotic sound to them and there's not much feel. So in this video today I want to share some tips with you to get more feel into your drums and hopefully to improve the overall sound of your beats. Now I've got some drums in here ready to go so I can show you guys some examples. Just a kick, snare and hi-hat, nothing too out of the ordinary, it's pretty boom bap sounding. Just going to turn that snare down a bit actually. And one of the first things that I will say is about quantization. So when I first came to the MPC, like I've already kind of mentioned, I was using quantization like all the time on everything that I put into it. And that can give your loops a tighter feel, but at the same time it can make them sound a little bit soulless. So the first tip which I will share with you guys is try and make drum beats without Quantize whatsoever. Now at first this is going to be a bit of a struggle because obviously you're used to the software inside the device just putting everything on the grid for you perfectly. But the more you practice this, the more you listen to the metronome as you're playing, the better you're going to get at putting drum loops down without Quantize and having that loose feel in them. So what playing without Quantize will do is get more feel into your drums because it's not the computer that's setting where they are, it's you, and that humanized feel will hopefully come through. So I'm going to attempt to try some now. I'm not in the most comfortable position for using this at the moment. Just because of all the camera gear and stuff, but I'll give it a go anyway. So I've got a 4-bar loop here. Let's just change this to 2 for the sake of the tutorial because it'll make things a little bit easier. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm only going to record this on one track, so it's all going to be on the same track, and we're going to see how this sounds without any Quantize. Okay, so as you can hear, I've had a little bit of practice without Quantize and that loops perfectly. It's not going to be noticeable to the human ear or the very untrained ear, whoever's listening to your music. It's not going to be noticeable that you're not using any Quantize on this, and in fact it's probably going to sound better because obviously the human element of me playing those pads is going to come through in the beat more. So let's go ahead and just listen to that. Okay, so there's not much of a difference there. You can't really tell that that's not been done with the metronome, but there's definitely going to be more feel in that beat compared to if I would have done that with full quantization on all of those pads. So obviously as well, you can layer those drums one at a time if you wanted to and put them on different tracks. You don't have to do them all in one go. So that could help you to get some looser feeling into your beats and to make them sound a little bit more humanized. Okay, the next little tip that I've got is to use 16 levels on your hi-hats. Now this is a really basic MPC thing really. It's one of the best uses for it aside from layering over little one-shots. This is a really good way of humanizing up your drums and making it sound like someone is actually playing them on a drum kit. So if you go ahead and hit your hi-hat and then hit 16 levels, what you're going to want to do here is change this if it is the wrong one. You need to change this to velocity. So as soon as you've selected velocity, you can come out of that menu. And now what that will have done is put the hi-hat over every single pad here, but at a different velocity, going from loudest in the top right to quietest in the bottom left. So you can hear here. It very gradually gets quieter. And what you can do now is when you're sequencing a hi-hat loop, so let's go ahead and do it now, you can use all these pads and you get this dynamic feel. And what that's emulating is a drummer hitting the hi-hats on a kit, but he's not going to get it absolutely perfect every time. That's just because he's a human, not a robot. So this is going to emulate that. It's kind of like you've got the stick in your hand and you can choose how heavy you want to hit that hi-hat, and this is going to add way more groove and feel into your beat. So let's go ahead and try and record that one. Just going to record the hi-hats on their own. Obviously if you're doing this you're going to have to overdub the other drums afterwards, so let's give this a go and see how this goes. Okay, I did miss a hit then, so I'm going to just try that again quickly. Right, so that's been recorded now, and if we listen back to that, this is going to sound like it's got so much more feel compared to just the same note or the same one-shot hi-hat just hitting over and over again. Let's have a listen to this and see what it sounds like. So one tip for that, which I tend to do, is always try and hit the loudest hi-hat on the start of the bar, and that gives it this swing. So I'll have one hand up here to start with. I'll probably hit some random pads down here, and then I'll come back up and make sure that that's sort of there for the start of every bar or thereabouts. So I'll do another little demonstration for you guys so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. And that really is one of the basics of using the MPC. That is going to add so much more feel to your beat if you do that with your hi-hats. So we've got that recorded on this track. The timing's slightly out on that, so I could go back and do that again and make sure it's in time, and then that's ready to dub other stuff over the top. Okay, the last tip that I want to share with you guys is that if you're struggling to find flavour and you're struggling to get that groove into your drums, then just listen to the patterns that your favourite beat makers make. Now, one idea which I used to do quite a lot when I was beginning with finger drumming and trying to get ideas, I still actually use it to this day, is get the drums loaded in like I have here. Let's just take 16 levels off. And with your record in line, I've got nothing set up at the moment, but if you get a record line coming in, just play some beats into your device and drum along with them on the pads. Try and emulate exactly what that person has done to program in those drums. Now, it might not always be easy with all three drums at the same time because they may have layered them, but you could try just the hi-hat along with it. You could try just getting the snare in the pocket like it is on the record that you're listening to. Try and listen to the kick sequences and how they're getting swing in the beat as well. So that's a really killer tip. Get some audio into this. It doesn't have to just be a sample, it can be a whole track, and start throwing your drums over the top and try and emulate exactly what your favourite beat makers are doing. That's going to be a great source of inspiration, particularly to you new beat makers out there, and it really is a good way of emulating someone else's flavour and getting it into your beats. Okay guys, so that is it for this video. I hope these tips help you to add more flavour, more feel, more humanisation into your beats and get your beats overall sounding a lot better. I'll be back with more tips very soon. I try and post every Wednesday, so be on the lookout for my uploads. Please subscribe if you like the content, and if this is going to help you out, then I'd really appreciate it if you could hit a thumbs up as well. That would be a great help. I'll see you all next time guys. Keep making beats. Peace!